What does it take to drive like this? It takes an urge to go fast, the itch to be in control of a powerful machine. It takes experience, knowledge, and intensity. For years it was assumed that this sort of virtuosity could only be self-taught, that this was a kind of black art, something intuitive you either had or didn't have. Well, all that has changed. In 1975, renowned race driver Skip Barber created what is today the world's largest high-performance driving school. It's attended annually by over 10,000 men and women at 20 locations across the United States. Barber's belief is that high-performance street driving and even racing can be taught, that as in tennis or golf or skiing, a curriculum can be created that enables a student to develop correct techniques and mental attitudes. The fast line through a corner, the control of a slide, shifting, braking, it's all part of the acquired art of high-performance driving. In the late 1960s, automobile racing enjoyed a sudden surge of popularity. All at once, in addition to those who wished to make a career of it, there were men and women who were just curious about the sport and who wanted to try a few laps in a racing car, but they didn't know how to find a car, how to get on a track. Anyone who wants to learn to race will need one of these, a racing car. Hello and welcome. Teaching racing calls for a lot of equipment. Cars, engines, tires, spare parts. This is the shop at the Skip Barber School's headquarters near the track at Lime Rock, Connecticut, and it's just one of several similar facilities around the country. Big business, but relatively new. 25 years ago, Skip Barber was still at the height of his racing career, driving in Grand Prix events in Europe and winning national championships at home in the U.S. He didn't start his school until 1975, and even then he saw it as something to do part-time, little sensing what lay ahead. Skip,
Hi,
thanks
Sam.
for joining us. What made you think you could succeed?
I was pretty confident about the teaching aspect, but I was really worried about whether the whole concept would be accepted. And then when Mario Andretti sent his sons, and Bobby Unser sent his son, and Johnny Rutherford, who won Indianapolis 3 times, came himself, I knew we were over that hurdle.
Yeah, pretty conclusive, I guess, at that point. We're going to be looking at your racing programs in just a moment, but first, tell us what motivated you to start your street course for high-performance driving.
Well, we realized there are a lot of people out there that like driving, like their cars, but have no interest in racing. And then there's a whole nother group that's really apprehensive about possible emergencies on the highway. And they're our audience for those programs, if you will. Interesting, there are a lot of women in both of those groups.
Well, as you know, Skip, we decided to send a friend of ours through the street driving school here in Lime Rock, and her name is Megan O'Sullivan. She's from Los Angeles.
We're going to chat here about...
Megan and the other students in her class would spend 2 days at Lime Rock under the tutelage of Terry Earwood, one of the country's top racers and a full-time instructor for Skip Barber. This would be light years beyond driver's ed, because here the idea is to push cars to the limit of control and sometimes beyond.
It's mainly an eyesight, as you'll see in a few minutes on the skid pad.
So keeping...
Yeah. Just
looking,
being aware of
being
your
aware.
environment and where the missile is headed. So our operative word for the day is suave. Even if you're going fast and you're thinking about to run off the road, you have to be suave, easing out of the gas. You got to be suave.
Megan's first exercise, braking. Terry will show her how to modulate the pressure on the brake pedal to avoid locking up the wheels. He uses humor as a teaching aid. It helps to put his students at
ease. Easy, suave.
Sorry. Sorry about that. What did I...
Frog hopping. Don't just come way back and go, okay, is that enough?
And then,
yeah,
okay.
and then all of a sudden the fuzzy dice are swinging back and forth, and the cat's falling off the back. The kids are upset now. 40 miles an hour.
Like most people who go through the school, Megan will learn how to reduce her braking distances by over 20%.
Yes. All right. Yeah, the first hit We had a little bit of wheel smoke, and you realized that they're locked up a little bit, and you modulated back just the right amount without releasing the front end. You release a little bit of pressure so the tire could continue to roll down to a stop, and that's our shortest distance, which means not only are we stopping short, but we retained our steerability if we need to steer around whatever reason caused you to get on the brake pedal hard to begin with.
Okay. Do I get a blue ribbon now?
Get 2 gold stars. 2 gold stars. Takes 10 to get the prize on the second shelf. But we're on the way. We're on the way. The skid pad is the single biggest way to help you quickly develop a seat of the pants feel for what the vehicle's doing, what you're doing with it. It's just sort of an action and reaction.
At Lime Rock, the skid pad is a paved circle, watered down to simulate bad driving conditions, like rain, snow, and ice. Terry first shows Megan why a car gets into a skid, and then he shows her what to do about it. Like most sensible people, Megan was apprehensive at first, and then she got the hang of it and began to have fun.
So stare to the right, stare to the white line. Little more gas. All right, gas. No. What I do? Well, see, we were sliding that direction, and you had a little bit of steering left, and we sort of gave up. It sort of took an extra slide. Give up prematurely. Go to third.
Third. Here we go.
And middle speed. All right, power. Okay, catch it. And recover. Good. That's better. That's better.
Next, a test which simulates a highway emergency. Megan is to change lanes and then get her car stopped as quickly as possible. But which lane is she to change to? Only Terry knows, and he isn't telling.
Whoa! Good catch.
It scared me.
Yeah, well, it should have. It scared me, too, and I wasn't in the car. No, big, beautiful toss. It was a great toss. You know, that's some 40 feet from one side of the highway to the next. You had to toss it around. You know, they said 75 feet to do it in, and it's wet. You got it tossed over, had to get it tossed back, and then brake without running off the side of the road.
Yeah, I felt the brakes lock, and
you modulated back and undid. Do that again. That's pretty.
Can I do it again?
Do it again. Do it again.
Okay.
I think instructing is a lot like perhaps a successful brain surgeon. You know that when you leave there that day, you've done a good job and the guy's got something to work on and he's going to get better. You know they're going to take that information to the street. They're going to become better people, better drivers, and you may save a life here and there. You got successful race car drivers that you graduate every week, and you got successful people that just drive back and forth to work every day, being a better driver, safer driver, and a lot of times they can take that information and share it with their families and friends. And so I think it's the neatest job in America. Weight up on the front end, eyes down into the inside for our apex.
It's the afternoon of the second day. Driving the Viper on a tight road course combines all of the new skills that Megan has acquired. Terry urging her on, Megan O'Sullivan starts to look very much like a racing driver.
Now look way down to the apex on the inside. Pick your speed up, pick your speed up, pick your speed up. Keep back a little bit, let it turn. Now give me some power. Brake and turn. Feather back. Where are your eyes? Look through the corner, look at power.
Cars like this are the tools of Skip Barber's racing programs. They are fast, but extremely safe. They almost never break down. They're practical, in other words. But for the people who sign up to drive them, they can fulfill dreams and provide some surprises. Watch as we join a father and his son in action.
And you will begin to develop the craftsmanship.
At a track called Road America in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin, Ken Winninghoff and his son Mark are attending one of Skip Barber's racing schools. This school, which lasts 3 days, is a kind of boot camp for would-be racers.
To go racing. But what we can't give you in 3 days is a lifetime of experience. The more you do this, the better you will be at it. It's just that simple.
I'm on a 6-month sabbatical right now. I've been working hard all my life. My son and I have had very little in common that we did together. We just thought this would be an outstanding opportunity. We both love cars, and this would be a chance for he and I to do something together.
I mean, I wanted to have a chance to do something with my father, and I thought it would be a great excuse to get out there on the racetrack. I didn't realize how hard it would be. I mean, you know, you see races on TV, and, you know, you watch them driving around. You drive your car, and you drive it fast, and, you know, you figure, well, it can't be that much different. You know, it's just a little different car, but it's hard work.
Getting faster and faster and faster, and as we're turning in for that third cone.
The basic elements of race car control, like the rapid movements required to steer through a tight slalom, are taught first, using a part of the track where there's plenty of room if you slide off. The students are also shown a tricky maneuver called heel and toe downshifting, in which all 3 pedals are operated simultaneously. Now, these exercises, performed in the tight confines of a race car cockpit, can be harder than they seem, as Ken found out.
It's an up and down situation. You know, when you feel like you've mastered it and I made the turn just right and I'm coming out, it's smooth, you feel great. I mean, you feel like jumping up and down and shouting. Other times when you do a little spin and you're in the grass and everybody's laughing, they say, wait a minute, you know, this shouldn't be that tough. You know, I'm a lot smarter than this. You know, I'm a smart guy. I ought to be able to do this. I'm a jock. You know, I used to be a jock anyway.
With each time in the car, the sensation seemed less strange, and the once awkward reclining position now feels pretty good. The cockpit is beginning to fit like a comfortable old chair, and Mark would rather be in his car than out of it.
We feel very secure. I mean, you're down inside the car. You're not just sitting like on top of the seat, you know, up above everything. You're down in the car, and the car is all around you. It, you know, surrounds you, and you're in there real tight, you know, tiny little steering wheel. You feel pretty secure inside there. And driving around the track, you take a beating though. I mean, those cars are sprung pretty tightly, and it's rough, but it's a lot of fun.
Part of the car's body is left off intentionally so that instructors can study drivers' steering motions and watch their feet as they shift. Then as speeds increase on the second day, the students receive advice from instructors equipped with walkie-talkies.
Make sure you get all the way to driver's left and pick up the turn-in cone for the hay bale corner. Thank you.
On the third day, students get the green light to lap the whole course, to drive in the wheel tracks of the Unsers and the Andrettis, who race here in Indy cars. As always, the instructors watch every move.
The way that they go about it gives you, again, just enough to make you feel like you're making progress as you go along, that you feel like, I've got this step, I've moved forward, I'm ready for the next level. And just as you feel like you're ready for it, they're pushing you. It's not like you have to ask for any more or say, I need to slow down or anything.
Turn through the corner. I mean, he's looking where he wants to go. He had some good dance. The car was dancing under the brakes there. That's good, heavy braking. There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing.
A student takes a last lap. Maybe someday he'll come back to race for real and see those empty seats filled with cheering fans. It's dawn now at another of the big league tracks used by Skip Barber. This one is called Mid-Ohio, and the Indy cars run here too. Many drivers, after they have done the racing school, want to take the next logical step and race. For them, Skip created a race series that uses the school's cars. Most people who race buy their own car and do all their own mechanical work. But in this series, Skip owns all the cars, prepares them, and gets them to the track. All a driver does is show up and drive.
It's an outward bound kind of experience, you know, not just the school, but the whole program. And we've really provided that for all those people that don't expect to be professional racers.
Professional racers. The phrase suggests a seriousness of purpose, a commitment to a life of danger and high stakes. But having been a professional racer himself, Skip Barber knew that one of the sport's harsh truths is that for even the most dedicated driver, success usually depends on the amount of money he and his sponsors can spend. Skip set out to develop a racing series in which talent, not money, would be the deciding factor. Each driver would pay the same amount, and as in the schools, the cars would be identical. To make driving them a real test of skill, they would be fitted with extremely powerful Dodge V6 engines. Skip has set up the Pro Series to provide the best possible chance for drivers like Derek to climb to the next rung of the ladder, which is called Indy Lights, and then to go on to Indy itself. To get his drivers maximum visibility, Skip schedules each of the 12 races as supporting events in front of large IndyCar and NASCAR crowds. Plus, all of the races are televised by ESPN. Costs are kept as low as possible, and even then a driver can offset his expenses by finding a sponsor. The series champion wins $100,000.
I think what Skip Barber has done is filled a void that once existed for drivers who are young and trying to build a career. The Barber Dodge Pro Series has allowed us to, under modest terms under racing, come in and truly compete on an equal footing. And it's vital, it's essential. Without that, I'm not sure what a lot of us would be able to do.
There's an element of sport as opposed to the element of check writing and then moaning and complaining when you don't have the best car. That's not possible in our system. I mean, you can complain, but you don't get away with it.
Drivers don't get away with errors behind the wheel either, because competition is tight and the races are short, only 30 minutes, which means there isn't enough time to catch up if you go off the road.
It's going to be a chance for me to prove myself if I really have the abilities, because there's no way to get in a mechanical advantage. It's all setting up the car and focusing on that race weekend and having to beat all the others.
The level of competition will just eat you. In every corner you do needs to be the most important thing in your life. And I explain this to them: as you come out of this corner, just hone in on that following corner at the end of the straight. Nothing else matters in your life but how light you brake, or how hard you brake, where you turn the wheel, how fast you turn the wheel, whether you go quarter throttle, full throttle to get it out, as you're leaving the corner, driving the car to the outside. All of those little highlights have to flash through your mind and become your reference points, and you just cannot relax.
I mean, what it takes to win in this series is perfect driving perfect laps. And when you got the guys right next to you that has the same ability to drive perfect laps, then you have to be more perfect.
The Barber Dodge Pro Series is, as the name implies, and the action certainly shows, professional. And yet there is something intangible here, rarely found in other forms of pro racing, a spirit of camaraderie existing among all the drivers. And they remain willing to help each other, even when they move beyond the Barber programs. The next generation of champions will arrive at the top, having learned their craft from older drivers and from sharing knowledge with each other. This is something new in racing, and no one is more responsible for it than Skip Barber. Skip Barber started his school 20 years ago, and he has watched it grow into the largest high-performance driving school in the world. Skip's success shows that thousands of people no longer regard driving as a black art and are eager to be taught. So, Skip, after all of your years of teaching, is there anything you found that can't be taught?
You can teach the skills, you can provide the opportunity, but not the passion, not the ambition.
Thanks, Skip. Well, so there you have it, from the man who ought to know, Skip Barber. The acquired art of high-performance driving. There's a lot more to it than most would realize. Thanks for being with us.
The proceeding has been a production of Freewheelin' Films, Aspen, Colorado.